Hello everybody, welcome back to the Heart Hype. My name is Andre Scott and I'm here with Dr. Costello. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. I'm here at the Texas Heart Institute and I'm so glad to be able to return to this vlog. Today I'm just going to ask her a few questions about food insecurity in America and how we could solve it as a group.
Thank you, Andre, for having me here. I'm super excited to meet you. I've heard so much about you already, and I'm excited to have a good discussion about food insecurity and heart health.
Before we dive into those sort of aspects, I wanted to ask a few personal questions for me and my audience to get to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
So how long have you worked at the Texas Heart Institute for?
Good question. So I actually trained here at the Texas Heart Institute for cardiology and interventional cardiology. So I've been here a little while now. So 3 years of general cardiology training, so for general cardiology fellowship, and then an additional year for doing interventions like stenting. And then I signed to stay because I love the place so much and the people. And I'll be entering my third year of being an attending or being kind of on my own doing intervention in general cardiology.
Oh wow, that's really impressive. And I'm actually interested in interventional cardiology as well. Another question I wanted to ask is, what inspired you to be a cardiologist? Like, what inspired you to pursue cardiology?
Good question. So I read a little bit about you, and I know what inspires you, which is your grandma, right? When
Yes,
she had her
ma'am.
heart issues. So my dad, similarly, when I was young, I was about 6 or 7. And he had his first major heart attack, and I was in school. I remember it vividly, and it was kind of like an earth-shattering moment, because at that time, way before you were around, they didn't have what we have now to fix arteries when you have a major heart attack. Actually, they had the newest invention, which was a stent for heart attacks when my dad had his. So he was kind of lucky that he had his heart attack when he did. He was able to get a stent. It's an old school stent. But he survived, of course, but his heart function, it was never improved after. So he's been living, for the last, since he was 46, now he's 76, for that long with a bad heart. So I became very intimately interested in what causes heart disease and what could he have done differently and how to manage him.
Wow, that's really passionate. I admire your story heavily. Same thing with my grandmother. Actually, she had a triple bypass surgery. And ever since then, I sort of pursued cardiology and tried to figure out a way to make a difference in everybody's lives. The last question I wanted to ask, what is your favorite thing to do in your spare time?
Well, a little bit more about me is I have 2 kids, my husband, and I have 2 children. One is 5, and she's fun, and she keeps me very busy. And then a boy who's going to be a year old soon. So that's a lot that I do in my spare time. We have fun. We go on bike rides, walk, and then I have a dog too. So I like to run to stay active. So those are my fun activities, of course. What about you?
Yeah. I have a little brother. He's 12 years old. He actually had his birthday yesterday.
Oh.
I love marching in our school's marching band and sort of hanging out with friends and family. That's what I love to do the most. One of the main topics we wanted to talk about today is food insecurity in America. So what we know is that fresh fruits and vegetables and access to those foods, it contributes significantly to heart disease. And especially developing heart disease at a young age is not supporting America and how we want to take care of our bodies in the future. About 1 out of 10 households in America experiences food insecurity annually. And due to that statistic, that's why me and Dr. Costello are here, just to address the issue and to explain how you can take action on this issue. Mainly what my friends tell me at school is that, oh, the school lunch is terrible, I don't like the school lunch. But what I find significant about school lunch is that our registration and our legislation, they usually depend on the fact that we should have more foods, like the quantity of foods. But what we should mainly be concerned about is the quality of foods,
Yeah, I agree with you. Can you just give a few examples of what school lunches are like for the audience and me? I'm interested.
You know, there will be some celery, broccoli, but, you know, nobody would want to touch it. You know, there will be, of course, chicken tenders and tater tots, but, you know, it just doesn't really taste good. And, you know, in order to compensate for that fact, rather it be healthy.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it should be. I agree. So what do you think school lunches should consist of?
What I think school lunches should be consisted of is less sodium,
Yeah.
you know, less cholesterol, because both of those factors contribute to high blood pressure, you know, diabetes, obesity, all at youth.
Yeah.
And it only gets worse.
That's
when you
right.
get older.
Yeah, you're right. And the habits that you make when you're younger, you carry those with you, right? So if you're introduced to a diet that's perhaps unhealthy, meaning not full of the fruits and vegetables and lean proteins and meats that we know is heart healthy, then you carry those habits with you into your teen years and then as an adult. And then you give those habits to your children when you have kids. So it really starts at a very young age. And school lunches, that's a huge place where people are having a lot of their meals when they're kids or young adults.
In 2020, I definitely saw that when we were stuck at our computers and we were stuck at home. Many kids didn't have access to those foods because they were stuck at home and they would have to take trips to the school in order to get a healthy eating habit or to get food in general.
Yeah.
And just making sure that foods in our school environments are healthier, less sodium, less cholesterol. That will benefit not only our community but our eating habits as well.
Yes, and you know, obesity is that's something that we can't ignore in this conversation. Making poor health food choices when you're young, and the childhood obesity rates have skyrocketed, and so have the adult obesity and diabetes rates. And we know that not only salt and cholesterol, but diabetes significantly raises your risk for heart disease. And we are seeing shocking amounts of patients at younger ages with diabetes because, number one, the food choices as they were younger have carried through to their young, teens and 20s. But we're also kind of diagnosing and on the lookout for it more now. So really focusing on the meat and potatoes, no pun intended, of what causes diabetes, which is the food and the sugar and the carbohydrate content in the foods that we're eating. Addressing that early at a young age is so important and critical to avoid the issues in the long term.
Definitely.
For you, what do you think that we can do, or what is there in place now that we can help families and children do to address this problem?
So there is SNAP programs that American Heart Association is promoting. Now, on the You're the Cure website of American Heart Association, you could email your lawmaker directly to support SNAP programs. And what they do is they reimburse low-income families in order to, buy the foods that they need.
Yeah, and I was reading, a lot about SNAP and supplemental nutrition assistance programs, and really they seem to stimulate the economy. And I'm sure, I spent some time in Chicago, and we talked a lot about food deserts where, there's not healthy food places to shop in some of the communities. And that's another problem that is certainly something that we should focus on addressing. And it's shown that, stimulating your community or your economy, even in a micro, level with the SNAP program can be helpful. So I think anything we can do to, focus on the future of our youth and, of our country is important. And food is a huge part of that. And we talk about food every day in my office with my patients because it's a part of your everyday life. And it's a lifestyle. What do you think could have been changed for patients who do end up having bypass surgery or do end up having heart attacks and stents? What do you think we can do early, like with the SNAP program? Aside from SNAP program, what can we do lifestyle-wise, or what else can we do, or what can we have your viewers kind of focus on at home?
Definitely. The devastating fact about heart disease is that it's preventative. There's always measures you can take to prevent, congestive heart failure or, atherosclerosis. There's definitely measures to take, such as exercise, eating restrictive diets, such as restricting in sugar, cholesterol, fats, everything that will sort of accumulate in the arteries and just sort of take a toll on your heart.
Yeah, and American Heart Association, and I'm love working, with them and advocating for them because, they tell us, get out and exercise. You should be doing 150 minutes or more of exercise every single week. And when you're younger, you have maybe a little more time, or it's already, embedded in your day or your week. But as you get older, you soon lose some of those minutes and hours with work or studying at college. But it's so important for your health, for heart attack, stroke, etc., to make sure you're active. So I think being active and the food, they're both critical, and their lifestyles. What can we do for the SNAP program, or how can we promote the SNAP program for the audience for American Heart?
Texting veggies to 46839 will definitely allow you to email your lawmakers to promote these SNAP programs in Texas. And once again, to allow these low-income families to be able to afford foods like this. So once again, texting veggies to 46839 will allow you to email your Texas lawmaker and allow them to know that you want to increase access to healthier foods, and that action needs to be done,
That's right, because a lot of these programs, right, are in maybe more of the urban communities now, but they really, for example, Texas, where we're at now, and is huge. So we need these programs to be widespread, right, in order to be helpful. So veggies is the text.
46839. And once again, thank you so much, Dr. Costello.
You are welcome. Yes, it was a pleasure to be here. I hope we can do this again in the future.